Welcome to the Invite Health podcast, where our degreed healthcare professionals are excited to offer you the most important health and wellness information you need to make informed choices about your health. You can learn more about the products discussed in each of these episodes and all that Invite Health has to offer at www.invitehealth.com/podcast. First-time customers can use promo code podcast at checkout for an additional 15% off your first purchase. Let's get started.
Did you know that you can take collagen for almost any part of your body? Thinking about your bones, your skin, joints, muscles, your hair, skin, nails, and more? Well, there's a reason why collagen has this newfound interest in the world of nutrition and supplementation. So today I want to talk about what type of collagen should you be utilizing if you are going to be supplementing with collagen. Secondly, why would one want to be supplementing with collagen? And this is really a key part to all of this, because we know one thing, we know that as we get older, our natural collagen stores start to diminish. So I want to talk about all of these different factors today on today's episode. I am Amanda Williams, MD, MPH. So let's talk a little bit about collagen and what exactly collagen is. Well, we know that collagen gives to different organs and tissues their strength as well as their elastic properties. We know that 25% of protein weight in the human body and about 75% of our skin is made of collagen. So collagen is part of a natural composition of our tendons, our ligaments, our joints, muscles, hair, skin, vital organs, for example. And when there is a lack of collagen in the body, everything can be affected. So we can contribute this to weakness, fatigue, aches, pains, and overall lack of energy. These are common things that happen when we do not have adequate collagen in the body. So all of these are quote unquote symptoms of aging. So where you just don't have the energy, you have aches and pains, but we oftentimes overlook the important role that the loss of collagen is playing into those symptoms. And we know that collagen is to the tissues in the human body the same way as steel rods are to reinforcing concrete. I always describe it like if you're driving into a parking garage and the concrete to which you're driving on is all reinforced with steel, so with that rebar. Well, there's a reason why that occurs, and that is to really allow the reinforcement of that concrete. Otherwise, the structure itself would become weakened over time. And so we look at collagen in that same regard in the body. We know that 99% of collagen found in the human body is of either type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And there are over 20 different types of collagens that we do find in the human body. But 99% is either of type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now, interestingly enough, over 90% of all of that collagen is of the type 1 variety. So this is where we find most of that collagen in the bones, tendons, ligaments, skin. All of that is type 1. And we can now recognize that there are so many aspects of chronic disease states that can be linked back to lack of collagen. I mean, one of the most common diseases related to bone aging, for example, osteoporosis, also osteopenia, which is the more milder form of bone loss. Kind of, you can look at it in a sense as like the precursor leading into osteoporosis. The same as like being a pre-diabetic and not correcting it and then becoming a diabetic. Same thing with osteopenia. If we're not making corrections in terms of lifestyle modifications, strengthening our core, all of those things, then we're usually on a fast track to more significant bone loss leading to osteoporosis. So we know that osteoporosis in and of itself is characterized by a loss of bone resistance, which leads to the potential or greater risk for fractures. And one of the main markers of bone density that we can look for in terms of urinary and blood levels is levels of C-telopeptide. And what that's actually looking for is your type 1 collagen. And so when they recognize that we're having rapid loss of this type 1 collagen, then that can give an indication of the weakening of the actual bones themselves. So during the process of aging, this decrease of collagen significantly starts to affect our bone structure, since our body loses that collagen that is used to help to sequester those very important minerals into the bones. And it is within this issue that we start to have more fragility and the greater likelihood of a potential fracture. So this is really quite key. You have to think about this. If we don't have and maintain our skeleton, then we are really putting ourselves into a predicament. And we think about our skeletons made up of more than 200 bones, and it carries out 4 main functions. First function that our skeleton provides us is to support our body weight, and it works as an anchor point for all of the different muscles as well as the soft organs. Secondly, we know that the skeleton plays an important role as a protector. Obviously, we think about our skull. That's protecting the brain. The rib cage, for example, is protecting our heart and our lungs. We think about our vertebrae. The bones within the back are protecting the spinal cord. We also know that the skeleton has a function in terms of storage. It contains 99% of the mineral reserves in the body. And finally, what we also know about our skeleton is it participates in immune function, since both white and red blood cells are produced within the bone marrow. So we have to take a step back and say, okay, collagen, if we're losing collagen, we're weakening our skeleton. And we know that the skeleton is responsible for all of these different functions. So we definitely want to maintain our skeleton and the strength of that skeleton. And what we know is that throughout the aging process, we start to lose our natural supply of collagen. And this starts in our mid-20s. And by the time you were in your middle ages, 50, 60 years old, you've lost nearly half of your natural collagen supply, which can be a major issue. Now, where most people notice this is not within their skeleton. You're not going around and assessing your bone density when you're 30, 40 years old. But what you may start to recognize is the way that your skin looks. Maybe you're starting to notice more fine lines and wrinkles. Maybe you are starting to recognize that your hair doesn't feel as healthy as it did when you were younger. So these are all clues. These are little indications. And so when we are thinking about supplementation with collagen, we want to think, well, how do we get that collagen back in? Well, this is very important. We have to recognize that we need to be using a hydrolyzed form. And the hydrolyzed form makes it easy for the body to absorb. It's already in this digested setting. And so the uptake into the system is much easier. Now, the form that we use in our Collagen HX formulation, which if you go to our website and you look at our collagen formulations, you can look at the collagen tabs as well as the Collagen HX, is using this widely researched form of hydrolyzed collagen known as Peptan B. So the Peptan B 5000, this has been utilized in human clinical trials, and it's shown to be highly absorbable and highly effective when it comes to replenishing those lost amounts of collagen. And so now, knowing that collagen is important for our joints, for our bones, for our skin, for our hair, nails, muscles, for energy, then we think, well, yeah, it would definitely make sense to be incorporating collagen into our daily routine. So let's talk about some different studies that have utilized hydrolyzed collagen and just how beneficial this can be. So let's think about the impact collagen can have on skin elasticity. So when we talk about those fine lines and wrinkles, and this was published in the Journal of Medical Nutrition and Nutraceuticals, and they were looking at the effect of nutritional supplementation of hydrolyzed collagen on the skin's elasticity, hydration, as well as wrinkles, to actually determine whether taking an oral amount of hydrolyzed collagen would have any type of an effect on the amount of wrinkling in the skin, with the hydration of the skin. Remember, we have to have that collagen for the skin to remain hydrated. And so this was a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, and they took a group of healthy individuals and they were looking at the depth of their facial wrinkles. They were looking at the actual skin elasticity as well as the hydration. And so they did this in postmenopausal women, which is really quite interesting. So they're healthy postmenopausal women. And the reason why they picked them is because they know that postmenopausal women have an even greater likelihood of having that loss of collagen, but also due to the fact of those downshift in those hormone levels, that the skin can really take a hit. It's kind of that 1-2 punch in terms of the impact to the skin. So more wrinkles, more loss of hydration, and more loss of elasticity. So they said, okay, we already know that these women are kind of up against it because they don't have enough of the circulating hormones to maintain the skin health. So let's just see if we supplement with just hydrolyzed collagen, if that alone would make a difference. And what they found was that the oral supplementation of hydrolyzed collagen did an enormous, significant improvement in terms of targeting the depth of the wrinkles. They also were able to induce a noticeable improvement in the skin's elasticity as well as the hydration of the skin. So in and of itself, that's a great thing. And then we also have to think about, well, how does it benefit us when we think about joint health? So a study out of Penn State University that was published in the Current Medical Research Opinion Journal did a 24-week study utilizing hydrolyzed collagen with athletes. So these are athletes who are, doing heavy work, running, doing all these different activities that can have an impact on their joints. And they wanted to see, okay, well, if we give these athletes hydrolyzed collagen, would this have any type of an impact in terms of their cartilage, in terms of their joint mobility? And so these are young athletes, so they don't have any indications of, arthritis or anything along those lines. But what they found, interestingly enough, was in that 24 weeks of giving them hydrolyzed collagen, these athletes were coming back and saying, my joints feel really good. So I'm exercising every day, but now I've actually realized I was kind of in some discomfort. And after using the hydrolyzed collagen, this really gave me significant support for my joint health. And the reason why they wanted to do this is they said, well, these are really active young athletes here. We want to see if we can try to reduce the risk of joint deterioration because they're in that quote unquote high risk group because of so much wear and tear. Now, keep in mind, we know that there is an immune system component to that as well. We know it's a inflammatory process that does a lot of that destruction within the joint. But this is one of the things that they found. They said that the results suggest that athletes consuming hydrolyzed collagen can reduce parameters such as pain that have a negative impact on athletic performance. So once again, we're talking about, when do we start losing collagen? Well, we know that starts happening in our mid-20s. So if we're losing collagen in our mid-20s and we're not doing anything to replenish it, well, then no wonder why we end up having so many issues further down the road. And I think when you look at a study such as this one out of Penn State and say, wow, they took all these athletes who are probably between the ages somewhere of 18 and 25 years old, and they see this remarkable benefit of taking hydrolyzed collagen. Because remember, they're at that beginning stage of that natural collagen loss. So they're already kind of getting ahead of the game by replenishing. So people oftentimes will say, well, why would I want to take collagen? Well, we know all the reasons why collagen is required in the human body. We know it's beyond that of just supporting joint health. We know it's beyond just supporting skin health. We know it's beyond just supporting bone health. There are so many different ways in which collagen can really help to give the body that added support in terms of easing inflammation, in terms of helping to support the skeleton, the hair, skin, nails. All of these things can all be served well by taking something such as hydrolyzed collagen. Now, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, our collagen 3000, that's the tablets, that is just the Peptan B. Remember, that's the form, that registered trademark form of hydrolyzed collagen that has been used in human clinical trials. So that's a really key point to that. Our collagen HX, that's a powdered formulation. Now, this is actually enhanced with not just the Peptan B, but you are also yielding the added benefit of getting horsetail extract along with boswellia extract. So we know that the boswellia extract, that's kind of in that family of the curcumin or turmeric. So we know that that's very beneficial for easing inflammation, helping the body with the regulation of the COX-1, COX-2, LOX pathways. Those are the main areas to which inflammation can be driven up. So boswellia extract, which also goes by the name of Indian frankincense, this is included in the collagen HX formulation. Same thing with the horsetail extract. Now, horsetail extract is actually coming from this really huge tree-like plant that thrived 400 million years ago during the Paleozoic era, and it's a close relative to the fern. What we know about the horsetail extract is a natural source for silica. And the silica is, once again, very beneficial when we look at that cross-linking of the collagen, when we look at that tensile strength. And so think about your hair for an example. So that tensile strength comes from that silica. And we know that it provides structure within our body. It helps with other minerals absorbing properly. So this is a really wonderful blend because we're targeting inflammation with that boswellia extract. At the same time, we're getting the added structural benefit coming from the silica derived from the horsetail. So collagen HX, definitely worth checking out. So many different ways in which that you can use the collagen HX. You can certainly add it in with some yogurt. And remember, if you're going to do yogurt, try and do an organic plain yogurt, not anything that has any type of candy in it. There's so many different yogurts out there nowadays that are pretty much just kind of like a junky dessert. So always be smart when you think about what you think may be healthy. So collagen HX, really nice recipes even on our website that incorporate the collagen HX. So you could certainly go to our website and check that out as well. But I just want to kind of give you just a basic overview of all the different functionalities of type 1 collagen. Remember, 90% of the collagen found in the body is of the type 1 variety, and its function in the body is so critically important. And if we don't do things to try to catch up with the amount of collagen that we lose over time, then that really kind of puts us in that fast track for an accelerated aging process. And we don't want to do that. So that is all that I have for you for today. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Invite Health podcast. Remember, you can find all of our episodes for free wherever you listen to podcasts or by visiting invitehealth.com/podcast. Now do make sure that you subscribe and you leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Invite Health. And we will see you next time for another episode of the Invite Health podcast.